They said you wouldn't make it. They doubted you when you dreamed too loud, too boldly, too soon. They laughed when you spoke with hope. And somewhere along the way, you started believing them, not because you were weak, but because you were tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of waiting. Tired of rising alone. But what they didn't know and what you're about to show is that your glow up was never just about proving anyone wrong. It was always about awakening the greatness that was buried deep within you all along. You didn't need permission to rise, you needed a reminder. That's why I'm here, not just to speak, but to ignite something that's already inside of you. Because whether you know it or not, you are being called right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Called to break cycles, called to shatter ceilings, called to evolve into the version of yourself that doesn't just survive the storm but dances in the rain. The version of yourself that's not just impressive but impactful, not just strong but unstoppable. True transformation doesn't start when people begin to notice you. It doesn't start when you land the dream job, when your body looks how you want it to, or when your social media reflects a perfect life. The real glow up begins in the shadows, in silence, behind closed doors, when no one's clapping and no one's watching. It begins when you confront your own thoughts, when you start peeling back the layers of self-doubt, old pain, insecurities, and fears that have kept you from becoming everything you're capable of being. And that's the truth most people miss. They chase the image, the surface level upgrades, the applause, but the people who truly glow are the ones who rise from within. That's what separates lasting transformation from temporary change. You can paint over brokenness, but if you don't rebuild from the inside out, the cracks will always show. The glow up people see is just the result. The real glow up is the part they don't see. It's the decision to get back up when you feel like a failure. It's the discipline to show up on the days you're not motivated. It's choosing healing over hiding, growth over comfort, integrity over image. It's the conversations you have with yourself when everything feels like it's falling apart, but something in you refuses to quit. It's the uncomfortable truth that glowing up will require you to outgrow environments, friendships, habits, even identities that once felt like home. That glow, it comes from letting go. It comes from the fire of transformation that doesn't always feel good, but always makes you stronger. We live in a world obsessed with aesthetics, constantly showcasing the highlights. But that's not where greatness is born. Greatness is built in the hours of practice no one sees, in the pain you face head on, in the effort you put into changing your narrative. The glow up is in the mindset that says, I don't need to prove anything to anyone, I just need to become someone I'm proud of. That mindset will carry you through the seasons where nothing seems to be changing on the outside, but everything is changing within. You'll start to think differently, speak differently, and carry yourself differently. And even if no one notices at first, you'll feel it. That shift in your spirit, that quiet confidence, that rising fire. Because once you understand that your value isn't tied to what you have, but to who you are becoming, the game changes. You stop chasing applause and start chasing alignment. You stop trying to be seen and start working on being whole. And the most beautiful thing about that kind of glow up is that it cannot be faked. It radiates from within. It's not just how you walk into a room, it's what follows you when you leave. It's not just how you look, it's how you make others feel. You become a mirror reflecting to others what's possible when you commit to inner work. And here's the truth. Nothing external can replace internal peace. The glow up that lasts is built on the foundation of resilience, clarity, self-awareness, and emotional strength. That's why some people look successful but feel empty, because the external world can never fill what's broken inside. But when you do the internal work, when you build your character, your habits, your emotional strength, your discipline, everything around you begins to align. You attract different energy, different people, different opportunities, because you're not operating from a place of desperation, but from a place of self-worth. So if you want to truly glow up, forget the surface for a moment. Start from within. Heal what hurt you. Unlearn what limited you. Rewire what broke you. And remember, it's not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. Because when the inside transforms, the outside can't help but catch up. So many people are waiting for a sign, a perfect moment, an opportunity that feels safe enough to step into. They wait for someone to tell them it's okay to begin. They wait for the fear to go away. They wait for the doubt to disappear. But the truth is, no one is coming to hand you permission. No one is going to walk up, look you in the eyes, and say, "You're ready now." Because readiness doesn't show up before the action, it shows up because of the action. You don't need permission to rise, you need purpose. When you live from purpose, you stop looking around for approval. You stop trying to fit into boxes that were never built for you. You stop editing yourself to match the comfort levels of people who were never meant to understand your journey. Purpose isn't something you stumble into by luck. It's something you choose, something you build, something you breathe into existence with every step you take toward growth, even when it's scary. Purpose wakes you up differently. It doesn't wait for motivation. It moves with intention. It doesn't ask, "Am I good enough?" It declares, "This matters." When you're living from purpose, you no longer waste time trying to be liked by everyone. You understand that being liked is temporary, but being aligned is powerful. There's a shift that happens when you realize your life is not a reaction to the world around you, it's a reflection of the choices you make every single day. Purpose gives those choices direction. It keeps you going when things get hard. It reminds you why you started. It becomes the fire that keeps burning even when everything else feels cold. Most people are chasing approval, applause, popularity, but those things fade. They're based on how people see you. Purpose, on the other hand, is about how you see yourself. It's about the impact you want to make. It's about who you want to become and what kind of legacy you want to leave behind. And once you start living from that place, you stop shrinking. You stop second guessing. You stop delaying your breakthrough. Instead, you rise. Even when it's hard. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when you're scared. Because purpose is louder than fear. Purpose is stronger than failure. Purpose is deeper than doubt. You were not born to live in hesitation. You were not created to move through life waiting for someone to tell you you're enough. You already are. The only question is, will you own it? Will you step into it before it feels safe? Will you choose purpose over permission even when the path is uncertain? That decision changes everything. Because the moment you stop waiting, you start living. And once you taste what it feels like to move with purpose, you'll never go back to living by default. Purpose gives you power. Not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that anchors you. The kind that allows you to walk through chaos and still stay calm. The kind that silences the voice of fear, not by arguing with it, but by acting in spite of it. You won't need to prove yourself anymore because purpose proves itself through action. You'll stop chasing moments and start creating momentum. You'll stop asking, "Am I allowed to?" and start declaring, "I'm meant to." You don't need permission to rise. You just need to remember who you are and why you're here. The world will try to distract you with noise, doubt, and shiny things that don't last. But when you choose purpose, you choose clarity. And clarity gives you focus. And focus gives you results. This is your time to stop waiting and start building. Not because someone told you it's okay, but because deep down you know it's time. You've outgrown the version of yourself that needed permission. Now you're stepping into the version of you that moves with intention, leads with vision, and rises with unstoppable purpose. There is something powerful about the moment you realize your story matters. Not just the polished parts, not just the success, but the struggle, the climb, the moments that almost broke you, the nights you cried silently, thinking no one would understand, the seasons you walked alone, doubting your worth, questioning your path. Those moments, those are the ones that shape you, and those are the very pieces of your story that someone else desperately needs to hear. Because while you're busy trying to hide the pain, someone else is sitting in it wondering if they'll ever make it out. Your journey, no matter how messy, holds the blueprint for someone else's breakthrough. That's the beauty of rising from the ashes. Your comeback becomes hope for the next person still stuck in the fire. Most people think their story isn't worthy because it's not perfect. But it's not the perfection that inspires, it's the truth, it's the resilience, it's the fact that you went through the storm and came out wiser, stronger, and softer. It's the honesty in saying, "I didn't know how I'd make it, but I did." When people see you shining now, they don't just admire the glow, they're curious about the fire that forged it, and that's where the impact begins. Because when you're brave enough to share not just your success, but the process, the falls, the failures, the fears, you remind others that they are not alone in theirs. Someone out there is waiting to see a version of themselves in you. Not the highlight reel, but the real you. The you that fought through anxiety, insecurity, heartbreak, rejection, betrayal, disappointment. The you that still showed up when everything in you wanted to disappear. That version of you, raw, real, relentless, that's the one that inspires. And sometimes you won't even realize how powerful your presence is until someone looks at you and says, because of you, I didn't give up. That is the silent impact of owning your story. You don't need a platform to be a voice. You don't need a title to be a leader. You don't need fame to have influence. All you need is truth, courage, and the willingness to be seen as you are, not as you pretend to be. The most powerful mentors in the world aren't the ones with the biggest followings. They're the ones with the deepest scars and the softest hearts. The ones who remember what it felt like to be broken, so they speak with compassion. The ones who walk through hell, so now they carry light for others still wandering in the dark. That's what it means to be a glow-up mentor, not perfect, not untouchable, just real and willing. Every step you take forward, every lesson you learn, every battle you win, it all builds a foundation for someone else to climb. Your survival wasn't just for you. Your growth wasn't an accident. Every setback you've endured, every heartbreak you've healed, every failure you've faced, it's all part of the roadmap you now carry. And you may not realize it yet, but someone out there is watching. Someone who sees a little bit of themselves in your struggle and a little bit of their future in your victory. Your life becomes a quiet permission slip for others to believe again. You are becoming the example that someone else needs. Not because you've done it all perfectly, but because you're still here, still trying, still growing. That kind of resilience is rare. That kind of honesty is rare. And that's why it matters. You don't have to shout your success from the rooftops to make a difference. Just keep walking, keep rising, keep being who you needed when you were hurting. And in doing that, you'll become the very proof that healing is possible, growth is real, and the glow up, no matter how hard the journey, is always worth it. There's a kind of strength that isn't taught, it's earned. It's the strength that comes from breaking apart and putting yourself back together. The kind of strength that doesn't show up in loud declarations or flawless confidence, but in quiet persistence, in getting up after the world knocked you down, in choosing to believe in yourself when no one else does. That strength becomes your story. And when you've lived through enough storms, you stop being just someone who survived. You become someone who can guide. You become a mentor, not because you have all the answers, but because you carry the wisdom of experience. That wisdom wasn't handed to you, it was carved into you through pain, pressure, and perseverance. That's where the real glow comes from. Not from pretending life has been easy, but from owning everything you've overcome. Every moment you thought you were breaking was actually building something within you, a resilience, a clarity, a depth. And now, as you glow up, not just in appearance or status, but in mindset and soul, you carry a different kind of light. A light that doesn't just shine, it reflects. It reflects compassion, because you remember what it felt like to be overlooked. It reflects strength, because you've had to hold yourself together when everything felt like it was falling apart. It reflects patience, because you've learned that true change takes time. This kind of glow can't be faked. It's not a trend, it's transformation. People often think mentorship is about teaching, instructing, giving direction, but real mentorship, the kind that moves people, comes from being a mirror. When others look at you and see what's possible, when your presence reminds them that their pain doesn't have to be the end, that's mentorship. When you lead not by telling others what to do, but by showing them what's possible through how you live, that's impact. And you get to that place only when you stop running from your story and start owning it. You were never meant to just heal and move on quietly. Your healing is your offering. Your journey is your gift. You are here to show others that it's okay to stumble, that it's okay to question everything, that it's okay to break and still come back stronger. You show others that success isn't linear and growth isn't always pretty. You show them that it's possible to hold both strength and softness, progress and pain, clarity and confusion. That's what makes you powerful. You don't just rise, you remember. And in remembering, you become the guide you never had. Some people will never understand what it took for you to be where you are. They'll only see the shine. But you know the story, you know the nights you cried, the doubts you silenced, the fear you pushed through. You know the times you almost gave up. That is your power. Because nothing speaks louder than a life lived with integrity. You didn't just glow up for attention, you did it for survival. You did it to breathe again, to find peace, to take back control. And now you walk with a presence that can't be ignored. Not because you're the loudest, but because your journey speaks for itself. That's what makes you a glow-up mentor. Not perfection, not popularity, just truth, Lived, earned, and shared. You carry a light that's not just yours, it's meant to guide others. It's meant to remind them that transformation is possible even in the darkest moments. Your glow isn't just a result, it's a responsibility, and you honor it every time you show up with honesty, every time you extend grace, every time you choose growth over comfort and courage over fear. You are not just a survivor of your past, you are a leader into someone else's future.